Hey everybody. I don't think I've seen a better let's reintroduce this character episode than the episode of The Walking Dead tonight. And because of that, this episode of Walking Dead Reactions is going to be a little different. Normally I react to the episode that's most recently broadcast. It's in the name, Reactions. But tonight I'm going to discuss the different things that I think could happen with the show from here on out. Because that's just it. They've now set it up so that so many different things could happen. At the end of the 5th episode, we thought, oh, the governor's back and violence is going to ensue. But now it's not that at all, or it could not be that at all. And that could very well be the first option, that he is going to arrive at the prison eventually and initiate violence. But how is he going to get there? How is he going to go from the man we saw at the end of this episode to the man who would again attack the prison? Because if that is the case, and that's the road he's going to travel again, it's going to be a hell of a short road. Alright, so the first real option, the path towards violence. Now that he's apparently going to be with Martinez and Bowman again, although I know that guy's name isn't actually Bowman, but whatever his name is, now that he's going to be with them again, he will have been prepared to sacrifice the family the entire time, using them in the process for comfort, emotions, sex, all of that, using them, and is going to kill them off one way or another so that he can get back to the prison. Now there's not really a path there, but it's just the first option, that he's going to kill the family off himself. The second option would be that he has to end up killing Martinez and whoever else is with Martinez so that he can protect his new identity with the family, because he cares about protecting that family and the life he's lied about and built with them so much. Third option would be that both his little groups come together. Martinez and whoever else will take in the governor again and will accept his new alias. Somehow the governor will tell them that his name is now Brian. And at the same time, the family with the second penny will continue to live with him and stay with him. But that choice runs into a snag, because we already know that the governor ends up back at the prison, and in a clean-shaven state. And even though this episode's not going to be very long, that's going to be my little tease. I'm going to save why I think he would still end up at the prison for the end of the episode, because it's what I think is actually going to end up happening in the show. Alright, the next thing that could happen, and I'm going to stop numbering them because I'm already screwing it up, but the next thing that could happen is that the governor kills Martinez and whoever else is up there, so that his little family can keep living in a different way. And I think that's very likely, because what we saw tonight from the governor was that he's still a man trapped behind the psychopath. He initially wanted to die. He had given up, lost all meaning, and was ready to go. When that walker was walking towards him and tripped on the fire, if it hadn't tripped on the fire, it would have gotten to the governor and killed him. He would not have stopped it. It was pure coincidence. Then he's abandoned, and probably doesn't even really blame Martinez or Bowman, and he's just wandering, waiting for death. Now, a part of him still keeps trying. He can't quite let go because of the man he used to be. But he's basically looking for death, and it's only what he believes to be an image of Penny that brings him to give one more shot at life, and only just barely. When he scraped off the SpaghettiOs into the street, I think he was still expecting to die. He was still hoping to die. That he was going to rest there because people had shown him kindness, and he had mistaken the girl for Penny, and then so in the morning he was going to move on and hopefully die again. But then this little family, this little unit that really needed his protection, kept asking for the little favors, the small things to draw him back in, and so he began to care again. He began to have these emotions again that he used to have for his wife and his daughter, and perhaps Woodbury as well. Oh, and there you go. There's your reaction for the week. And it leads me right into my point about him killing Martinez, not because he's vengeful, but because they could expose his true identity, and he wants to keep that a secret. He needs to be Brian Harriet so that this family can keep trusting him. So he'll kill them in order to protect his new little family unit. But another option now is Carol. We know she's out on the road by herself, probably living much like the governor did for a little bit, except a little more together. She's a stronger person than the governor is during that first part of the episode. Whether it be for vengeance, or for redemption, or for another chance, however it is, she and the governor might team up to go back to the prison. They might team up to be friends, and then something else happens between their meeting and going back to the prison. And now, down to what I think is actually going to happen, is that the governor is going to go to the prison with his little family for whatever reason, be it because they have to escape there, or he kills Martinez and acts like they were attacked, so they have to run away. Whatever the case is, they will go to the prison, but not to incite violence. Oh no, I think he's there to evaluate if his little family unit should live there or not. Whether that means he plans on going in with them or not remains to be seen, but that's also, I guess, two different options, that he just drops off his family, or that he tries to negotiate a peace treaty so that he can try and live there with them as well. And if that's the case, I doubt that would end up well for him. This could be perhaps what ends up breaking the group apart, being the big dramatic thing in this season. Let's just think about it without having to use too many character names. Most people want to kill him, some may not. Especially Rick in his new state, despite how much he has a reason to hate the governor, in his new state where he doesn't want Carl to even hold a gun, he might decide that the governor shouldn't be killed and come to his defense. Or Carol could be there and she could say, after talking and traveling with the new governor, that he shouldn't be killed. And that would affect Daryl, and then Daryl would be defending the governor, and who knows, there's a bunch of different things that could happen. But what it could ultimately lead to is, well, look, we've been seeing the commercials for the preview of this season, and everything that's been in the commercials has come to fruition in the show. All the clips they've shown have already happened, except for one. The only thing we haven't seen in an episode yet is the prison cell with a long series of tick marks on the wall. These tick marks eventually become bloody, and then there is a whole lot of blood, and it looks like someone was either dragged out of it or walked out with a lot of blood on them. And this is a different scene than Karen and David being dragged out. So what if it's the governor that, even though he comes to the prison amicably, is put into the cell and ends up dying inside? And I'm not saying I would be okay or not okay with that. I would probably be a little sad, because even though I know the governor is going to die at some point, I kind of don't want to see him go. All the characters I like the most seem to keep leaving this show. Now, that's sort of a lie, because almost all the characters are great. But the governor's been a really great character, and I'll be upset when he leaves. And besides, if you exclude the part where he pretended to rape Maggie and had Glenn tortured, this is all Michonne's fault anyway. No, I'm just kidding, he's a psychopath. Oh, and one other thing. I did notice on the barn wall, where Brian Harriet's name was, that there was a not-so-hidden Easter egg in place as well. Now, I don't know where I heard this name, I don't know where I read it, and I'm a little disappointed that I have, because, as you know, I don't read the comics, I consider them a spoiler. Even though the show and the comics are vastly different, I consider them a spoiler. But the name Nagan Cook was on the barn wall, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly or not. I've never heard the name, because even if I had read it in the book, that wouldn't be hearing it, so I'm just going to pronounce it Nagan. And I don't even know if the last name Cook is correct or not, but it's such a different first name, Nagan, that I'm going to assume it's the same guy. And that's fascinating because according to the barn wall, he's dead. And maybe that's the show's way of telling us that, hey, we're going to be that much different than the comic. This character that's well known is never going to appear because we're telling you right now he's dead. I don't know, of course. For all I know, it could be a trick. And if it is, I'm getting an axe.